Hey everyone, Anna Krueger here, and welcome to today's free webinar. Today we're going to be talking about how to set and then make sure you actually achieve your income goals in 2021. So it's not just a focus on income goals, it's also a focus on who you are as a person, and we're going to dive deep into that today. And I see a lot of you typing in. I see we have people here from North Carolina, Arizona, all over the place. And I recognize some of you from the current Mastering Inside Sales course. So that's great to see you guys as well. I'll see you in like 30 minutes in class. So it's good to see you here today as well. All right, so today we're going to talk a lot about goal setting, and I'm going to ask you to grab pen and paper so you can take notes. I'm going to give you a lot of info in a relatively short period of time. So I want to make sure that we get that. And then actually, moderator, I just have a quick question for you. If there's a way for me to share screen, it just dawned on me. We're using a new platform today, and I have not shared screen on here before. So if you could tell me real quick how to share screen, that would be amazing. So, all right, well, let's jump in and first talk about goal setting and just what's kind of the idea behind it. What are some things to consider? And then how can you actually make sure that you do achieve the goal? And I believe I just saw how to share screen. So let's see if this works. 1 second, guys. And nope, it's not working. Here we go. I found it. Here we go. All right, perfect. If you all have been on any webinars with me, you know I'm just myself, and this is myself figuring out StreamYard today. Okay, so let's talk about goal setting and how goal setting works and what are some things you want to consider. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is think about who do you want to be in 2021. And where this came from, and I'll just be really honest with you, I found myself about 3 years ago doing very, very well on my real estate goals. I was making the income I wanted to make. I was traveling the amount of travel I wanted to. Yet I realized I was becoming an irritable person, just being honest. And I also was never home because I was always on a plane, traveling somewhere for work. And while that sounded fantastic, and there were a lot of fantastic aspects about it, I realized, I want to be a generous person. I want to be someone that's known as available to my friends. I want to be someone who's a good listener. I want to be a generous person. And I quickly realized in the pursuit of my career goals, I had just totally abandoned working on the type of person I wanted to be. And that was really concerning to me. And so the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is think about who do you want to be in 2021? Who do you want that person to be? And I'll share with you, I actually made a vision board when I was realizing I needed to work on this. And if you can see here, I have the word giving, kind, faithful, trustworthy, brave. There's a couple other things on there, travel with loved ones. You can probably see that on there. And I really created this vision board, and I'll back it up a little bit for you so you can see it, of not only what I wanted to accomplish, but who I wanted to be in the following year. And it made a very significant difference in my actual job performance as well. So I want you to think about who do you want to be? Now that will play into and affect your job performance, because what I've learned is if I want to be a good coach or a good inside sales agent, my character, my traits, am I a disciplined person? Am I a generous person? Am I a nice person? Those things certainly showed up and impacted my actual business performance. So the first thing you want to think about is who do you want to be? So maybe go ahead and there in your notes, just start writing down what are some of the characteristic traits that you want to describe you. And I would actually love to have you go ahead and put that into the chat box. Who do you want to be? And we'll take a look at those here in just a minute. So once you figure out who you want to be, because remember, we're human beings, not human doings, then you want to start thinking about what do you want to accomplish. So for example, one of my goals, my faith is very important to me. One of my goals is I wanted to be more tapped in and connected to my faith. Well, that was a being, right? I wanted to be a more spiritual, a more faith-based person. That's a being item, right? But I realized in order to become that, I needed a do. So what went on to my goal sheet was 4 times a week, I committed to listen to a faith-based podcast. Because I figured if I am doing or listening to a faith-based podcast, that's going to filter in and help me be a better person or a faith-based person. To make a business goal, maybe you have a goal of, I want to be a generous person and give away, X amount of money per month or per year. Well, in order for you to do that, You need money, right? And so the being generous informed the doing, but it all starts with who you want to be. And I found my first few years in real estate, I really focused on what I wanted to do and really did not think much about who I wanted to be. And it actually gave a lot more oomph to my goals. I found that if I was halfway through the year and not quite hitting where I wanted to be, I wasn't as inclined to just give up because I had this big meaning behind why I was doing what I was doing, because it spoke to my meaning and who I wanted to be. So let me hear from you guys first. Just what are you hearing so far? I know that's a lot to think about in only 7 minutes. my thought is after this webinar, you will take some time to think through these things for yourself. I usually actually go away to a coffee shop, and it's usually at least one full day. I turn off the computer, I turn off the phone, and I actually take paper and pen. I don't, because if I'm on my computer, I know myself enough to know I will get distracted. So usually what this looks like is going away to a coffee shop and just thinking through, what do I want my health to be like? What do I want my faith to be like? What do I want my friendships and my relationships to be like? How do I want to show up as a business person? And it really starts, the top of the page gets filled with all these adjectives that I want to describe me. Then the doing comes out of that. And it usually takes a full day. Often it also turns into, okay, if I want to be a writer, maybe I want to get better at blogging about real estate. Maybe a doing would be look up a conference on becoming a better writer. So that's how the being informs the doing. I see down here a person who has time for faith, volunteering, friends, family, work. Absolutely. Continue using the 2020 word of intentional. That's a great word. I love that. I've actually never been someone who picked a word for the year, and I'm considering that. I know a lot of people that do. I more pick traits and goals like I'm describing. I love that idea of actually having a goal. Jennifer says, I want to be a present and giving person. Yeah, so you just have to ask yourself, if I want to be present and giving, what do I need to do, right? Is it giving of your time? Is it giving of your money? What would you do in your calendar to make that happen? Yeah, same thing, Jenny. Volunteering, time for friends and family, time for work. So what's in your calendar that enables you to do that? That's where the doing, and it really all kind of comes together in that who do I want to be informs the being. All right, so let's go back to the slideshow. All right, once you figure out who you want to be and what you therefore want to do, then you want to ask yourself what made you choose those commitments. Where this comes from, there's a book I've read. Let me show it to you real quick. It's called Living Forward. I highly recommend this book. This is a book I've started reading every fall, usually before I go away for that day to the coffee shop to think through things. And it basically talks about creating a plan for yourself of what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. And in this book, something I really like is they don't just have you pick who you want to be, what you want to do. They have you think through what is like the bigger associated with. So for example, you could say that I want to be a giving person. And if you're a faith-based person, maybe you have a Bible verse that supports that. Or maybe you have a saying that your mom told you growing up that stuck with you and it's kind of become part of your purpose. So when you say what made you choose those commitments, you want to think, okay, why do I want to be that person? And why do I want to do those things? Now, I know this doesn't sound very business strategy at this point. However, I think we can all agree when you really, really want something, you figure out a way to achieve it, right? I'm sure all of you listening, there's 180 some of you registered as of this morning. I'm sure that we could all share things that we wanted to do that at the onset we thought, I don't know how I'm going to achieve that. But because you wanted it so badly, you figured it out. So it's the same vein here is we want to march into 2021 with you crystal clear on not only what you want, who you want to be, but why you want to be those things. What are you tapped into that makes those things important to you? That's a key factor in making sure that you continue marching forward. Perfect. Just checking the chat box here real quick. All right. So once you know who you want to be, then you know what you want to do. Then you want to start really thinking about the type of person that you need to be to achieve those things. And so you want to ask yourself, am I 100% clear on why this is my commitment? I know from being a MAPS coach, if we get halfway through the year and people aren't sure why they chose what they chose at the beginning of the year, it often becomes an uphill battle to actually do the activities. An example, when I first got into real estate, my goal was to make $60,000. The only reason I wanted to make $60,000 is that's what I had made in my previous job. And I just thought, I don't want to go backwards. And so I want to at least stay the same. So my goal is 60,000. Well, it was really challenging to keep myself motivated because I had no real reason why I wanted to achieve what I wanted to achieve. So I want all of you listening to make sure and just ask yourself, am I 100% clear on why I want to achieve those things? Because if you're not, it's emotionally going to be very hard to keep yourself engaged as the year goes on. And if 2020 taught us anything, is that life can throw us curveballs. And if we're not clear on why we're doing what we're doing, it can be easy to give up, right? A lot of you pressed in and worked harder. And what we're finding is teams that stayed in the right activities or individual agents that stayed in the right activities are actually having some of their best years they've ever had. People that just gave up and went along with pandemic, the world is falling apart, those people are struggling right now. And it really comes back to the why, what's motivating you. Okay, once you know who you want to be and what you want to accomplish, then you want to ask yourself, what income will support that goal? So for example, I personally have a goal to have 308 people enrolled in webinars at all times. Why? That's a weird number, right? Well, I have personal goals that I want to do of giving. I have some house renovation that I want to do. I also believe in saving for retirement. There's some very specific reasons. And when I did my goal planning day, I sat down and looked up, okay, if I want to renovate the bathroom, how much money is that going to cost? Let me talk to some contractors and get an estimate so I know what to put on my goal sheet. If I want to give away a certain amount of money to different organizations, what percentage of my income do I want to give away? And how much do I want to be able to do? And that created an income goal. What do I need to pay my bills? That certainly informs the income goal. So where it boiled down to is once I got crystal clear on exactly what I wanted to do with the money and how I wanted to steward that money, I came up with a weird number of 308 people enrolled at all times. But that informs a bigger picture of a life mission. So for you, you want to ask yourself, what income supports your goal? So if you want to pay off your house, if you want to pay off your debt, if you want to buy a house and you need a down payment, how much money do you need to support that? What we don't want is for you to enter the year and just say, I need this much because it sounds good. That's not going to work emotionally for most of you. All right, the second thing, once you know your income goal, then you want to think about what do I need to do according to my conversion rates, So for example, if you say, I want to make $100,000 a year as an inside sales agent my first year, you want to figure out, okay, what do I need to do from a conversion standpoint in order to achieve that? Someone told me a long time ago that success is just a math formula. And I thought, no, it's not. It's more than that. And what I realized is success is truly a math formula. For example, if you have a certain health goal, or maybe you want to lose a certain amount of weight or gain a certain amount of weight, we know that for 3,500 calorie deficit, you'll lose a pound a week. So if you want to lose 1 pound a week, have a 3,500 calorie deficit. If you want to gain a pound a week, have a 3,500 calorie overuse, right? And that will cause you to gain a pound a week. So in the same vein, real estate is very mathematical. And so that's one thing I love about this industry. So you have the income goal, whatever that number might be, you simply need to figure out big picture, how many contacts does it take for me to earn a closing? So if you are a commission-based person, which I think most of you are, it's what do I need to do in order to achieve the amount of closings that I want? Now, I know some of you are new, so I'm going to give you some benchmarks to work on, and then I'm going to go over with you what to track so that you can make sure you actually achieve those things. All right, so the first thing you want to do, number one, is, in fact, hold on a second. Someone just asked a good question here. Okay, nope, I misread it. My word for 2021 is Anna. That will get you in trouble, Michael. Don't do that. Be Michael. That's what we want. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do is know the average conversion rates. And the reason this matters is it will help you know, am I performing at an average rate? Maybe you're above average, maybe you're below average. But I know it helps to just have a benchmark of what should I be doing. So the first thing I want you to know is that the average person, once they've been in the role for 3 months, 75 contacts will earn you 1 closing. one closing. Now, don't make sure you're tracking, because I don't want you to just take a general number and say, okay, that's what's average. So I'm just going to take the amount of closings I want times 75 contacts. I should be good to go. Because we all have different skills, right? Maybe one of you on here converts, 60 contacts, earns you a closing. Maybe you're new and it takes you 200 contacts to earn a closing because you don't have a pipeline yet and you're still building your skill. But just know, on average, once you've been in the position for about 3 months, you want to look at your numbers and figure out, am I about 75 contacts to earn a closing? And if so, I would say you're about on average. Now, here's why tracking matters, is we found that when the coronavirus first hit back in March, people actually needed to go up to about 175 contacts to earn one closing. Great ISAs with lots of skill. All that changed was the coronavirus. So it wasn't that it had this huge increase because all of a sudden they weren't a skilled person. It was because of the circumstances of the market. And that's why tracking matters. So we saw that people that normally needed 75 contacts to earn a closing jumped up to around 175, give or take, to earn a closing. It's important to know these things. So what I want you to make sure you're doing is tracking your own numbers. So let me give you a couple things to track. And actually, I have a tracker that we will provide for you, and I will tell you where to find that at the end of this webinar. So just hang tight. And let me find this tracker for you. Here we go. Here's what I would recommend for tracking. The first thing that you want to do is every day have a tracker that you write down your numbers. So I know when I was an ISA, I felt very overwhelmed by tracking. A lot of us that are in sales, can we just be honest? Most of us are not super detail oriented, okay? And so what I found is it was very overwhelming trying to keep track of everything. So I wanted to create this tracker for you. And up top, you put your dials. So how many dials you have every single day. One box equals 10 dials. Then you put how many contacts you have. So if you have a contact, put a check mark. If you created a nurture, which means someone that will do something in the next year, you can put an N. And if you set an appointment, put an S. And that's just a way for you to visually keep track of what you're doing throughout the day. Again, I'll tell you where to find this tracker here in just a minute. Then what you're going to do is write down the names of people you talk to. Now, the reason for this, instead of just doing the little check marks, I know for me, when I was on the phone, I'd hang up and think, oh crap, did I already check this person off? Or did I not check them off? So am I going to mess up my numbers here? But I found if I wrote their name down, one, it helped me make sure I did not double count somebody or forget to count somebody. But it also helped me if I forgot something or if I needed to follow up with them, I could circle their name. I could remember where they, who did I talk to today? Maybe I forgot to put a note in the database. And it was kind of like my safety net where I had everybody's name written down. So if something happened or the internet went down, I could remember where I left off and go back and catch those notes. Then down at the bottom, anybody that you set an appointment for that actually happened, so the appointment was met, you put a mark. If you had somebody sign an agreement, you put a mark. And if you had a closing that day, you put a mark. Now, some of you are agents, in which case all of that is you. You handle all of those portions. Now, if you're an ISA, you are not necessarily the person meeting the agent, meeting the client. You're not the person getting the signature, and you're certainly not the person going to the closing. But let me just ask you, why do you think we actually track those things? There is a reason. Why would you track those things? And I'll just go ahead and tell you as you're typing in. One of the main reasons is it's really hard for you to know how to achieve your income goal if you're not tracking the conversions. So what I mean by that, we know that the average person, if you have a contact, every 20 contacts, you'll probably set an appointment with somebody. However, what if you are above or below that? The only way that you're actually going to know what it takes for you to get a closing is to know your conversion rates all along the way. It also helps from a coaching perspective. So let's say that we're in the Mastering Inside Sales class and we have a time for questions. And you could say, hey, I'm great at setting appointments. I have a great conversion rate. I'm great at getting them to show up. A lot of my appointments actually show up and the agent meets with them. but only 40% actually hire us. What do I need to work on? What does our team need to work on? We won't know those numbers unless you're tracking. And remember, if you earn commission, your commission is based upon closings. So even though as an ISA, you mostly work the front end of that, the contacts, setting the appointment, making sure they show up, and Ashley said it in there, it's the quality of your appointments are they actually getting you closings? So you can do all this work to decide what kind of person you want to be. You can do all this work to figure out how much money you want to make. Yet if you don't know how many contacts it takes for you to earn a closing, it's really pointless actually to figure any of those things out. The other piece here is from a coaching perspective, again, it helps us know where we want to work on. So let me give you a couple conversion rates to write down. These aren't on the screen, so just jot them down. So the first one is dial to contact. Dial to contact. On average, we want that to be 12% or higher. 12% or higher. Now let me ask you guys, why would we track dial to contact? And I will tell you, I personally am not ever going to give an ISA a dial goal, but there is a reason we track it. Why do you think that is? All right, so the reason we track a dial goal, or dial to contact conversion ratio, is we want to know, do you have a good list? So if you ever had one of those days where you're working, and you're like, man, no one is picking up the phone today. Maybe I don't have a very good list. Well, actually, if you have 12% or more of people picking up the phone, you can reasonably assume that is actually a good list. It's if you have below 12%, what that means is for every 100 dials, less than 12 people are actually picking up the phone. And then you have to ask yourself, man, is this like a time of day thing? If you're calling a list at 7 o'clock on a Friday night, that's probably not real good, right? You might have a less pickup rate. So it can help you figure out, is this a list thing? Is it maybe not a good time of day? Why do I have below 12%? And if you determine it's the list, okay, let me work on and, find a different list to call. So dial to contact, 12%. Contact to appointment set, average is 5%, 5%. Now that's after you've been in the role for about 3 months and you've received training. We see people in the Mastering Inside Sales course achieving 5% or more after about 3 months. If they're brand new, if they're already used to, lead gen, lead conversion, and they join the program, we usually get them up higher than that because they already have a pipeline. So 5%, that would be one appointment set out of about 20 contacts. Yeah, and Kat said we're calling the right leads. Yeah, perfect. So dial to contact, 12%, contact to set, 5%, set to held, meaning you set an appointment and they actually showed up, that would be 70%. Now, obviously, a lot of things are virtual these days, so showed up could be they met with the agent online, okay? But the idea is we set a time and then the time actually happened, okay? Then we have held, meaning they kept the appointment was held, to signed, that is 80%. 80% is the goal. I've seen teams hit 90 to 95. When I was an ISA, 90 was my seller side, 95 was my buyer side, because they expected to sign. They knew that from the way we set the appointment. And then from signed to closed, 80%. 80%. That's what you're looking for. So to recap, and I have one more tracker to show you real quick, so stay with me, and then I'll tell you where to find the paper tracker at the very end. But to recap, so far, you got to figure out who you want to be, then what do you need to do to accomplish that, and what income do you need to accomplish those things. Then we talked about tracking so that you know every day how many people you're talking to, how many people are showing up, and all of that's done on a paper tracker throughout the day. Paper tracker throughout the day. Cat set to held should be 70% or higher. Okay, so you do everything on a paper tracker, but I don't know about you guys. A whole bunch of papers laying around do not help me know my conversion rates. So I'm going to share with you guys a tracker. Now, this is a tracker exclusive to the Mastering Inside Sales program. If you're not in there, I highly recommend you join. I see a lot of you here that I know are already in that class. But let me just show you what it is. And if you're not in the class, this will at least help you know what to track and why you're tracking this and how to interpret the data. If you were to join Mastering Inside Sales, or if you're already in the class, you get this on week 2. We give you this tracker on week 2. So what you do, whether it's this tracker, or if you have one of your own, let's come down here. I'm just going to pretend it's June. And let's just say that off the paper tracker at the end of the day, I see I had 245 dials. I had 43 contacts. Out of that, I set 3 appointments. I had 2 appointments hold that I set maybe yesterday. Both of them signed, so I had 2 signatures. And then maybe I had 1 closing from someone I set, 3 months ago. So every day I just come here and enter my numbers. Same thing. Let's say tomorrow I talk to 300 or dial 300 people. Maybe I had 46 contacts, 2 appointments, 1 held, 1 signed, and no closings today. Okay. So all you do every day is come in here and enter your numbers. However, here's what's really cool. Let's say that you determined I want to have for my income goals, let's say you want to have 12 contacts a month or 12 closings a month. You simply come in here and let me make that a little bigger. Can you guys see that okay? I'm going to check the chat box to make sure you can see okay. Oh, good. Laura said this tracker is helpful. Yay! I'm so glad. So what you do is you come in this little yellow box and you say how many closings you want per month based on that income goal that you created. So maybe it's 10, you put a 10 in there. Maybe it's 8, you put an 8 in there. But do you guys notice that every time I change this yellow box, it updates what I need to do on a weekly and monthly basis? So pay attention right here to this section. If I put a 10 in the yellow box, everything updates. And it says I need 10 signed, 17 held, 178 set. That's not correct. I just put in some fake numbers and it has the contacts in there. So this is the type of tracker that you want to have. Now, if you're in the program, we provide this for you. If you're not in the program, just make sure you have a tracker that tracks according to this general format and you'll be good to go. So again, really, success is just a math formula. And so again, you start with who do you want to be? What do I need to do to accomplish that? And what income do I need? And then there you go. You have your income goal for the year. Then all it is figuring out how many closings do I need to achieve that? And from your tracking, you can figure out what you need to do on a daily basis. For me as an ISA, now this was after I had done it for several years, I knew I had a 6-figure income I wanted to make. And because of my conversion and my pipeline a couple years in, I figured out I needed to talk to 36 people a day. And if I talked to 36 people a day, my conversions told me I would make that 6-figure income. So that's what I want for you guys. I want you to get crystal clear on, okay, how much do I want to make? What, according to my conversion rates, do I need to do on a daily basis? Now, I told you I would let you know where to find that paper tracker that I shared with you. So what you can do is go to annascoaching.com. In fact, I will share screen with you here in just a minute. You're going to go to annascoaching.com. And let me share this with you. 1 second. Here we go. You're going to go to annascoaching.com. Now, first of all, we have 2 classes here. One is how to hire and keep ISAs. So if you think that you want to hire ISAs one day, or maybe you're an ISA leader and you want to do a better job leading, this would be a great class for you. Our next class is going to be in April. We spend about a class and a half out of 5 talking about the hiring process. And then the rest of the classes is culture, retention. How do you make sure you keep this person engaged? So it's really not just a hiring class. It's how do we hire and actually keep the people that we've hired that we want as part of our culture. The other class is Mastering Inside Sales right here. Let me show that to you. And then we'll jump into where to find the tracker. So if you click on Mastering Inside Sales, it'll actually take you to a different screen, which you can't see right now. But it'll take you to a different screen and you can read all about the class and how to sign up. Our next class is January 13th. So I just really crammed an entire class into this. In fact, we spend 1 entire month on goal setting. So those of you that are in the class and you just took feverish notes and thought, oh my goodness, did I catch everything? Don't worry, because we spend an entire month in class really breaking down all of those things to the nitty gritty. So that at the end of the month, you're very clear on exactly what you need to do to hit your income goals. So we will go over that in great detail in the actual class. For those of you not in the class, you can go ahead and sign up for January 13th by clicking on Mastering Inside Sales. So the tracker, if you go again to annascoaching.com and scroll down, you will see a spot that says Free Resources Library. And if you click on that, it will take you to a page where you just enter your info, and then you will get the download. You'll see actually a lot of webinars. You will see some different resources and downloads, one of them being the daily tracker. All right, any questions that you guys have? We're right at time, and I want to respect your time, but I can also hang on for just a second if you guys have questions. You're welcome, Kat. Oh, some of you said, would you make the tracker bigger? I can put it back up real quick, and I'll go over it again real fast. Give me a second. I closed it, so I got to pull it back up here. And while I'm doing that, just if you guys have questions, go ahead and type it in. Okay, so one more time, since it sounds like it was pretty small for you. Here's the power tracker. And let me make it a little bit bigger for you. It's moving very slow, probably because we're waiting on it. And I think because I've got StreamYard going here. So let's make it a little bit bigger here. All right. So you enter your data on this page, which I already showed you. So again, you would put 300, and I'm just going to throw in some numbers in here just for the sake of demonstration. So you put your numbers in here every day, and then this tracker, you come here and you say, I want to have 8 closings. So let me put an 8 in there. And that tells me I need 2250 dials, 300 contacts, 30 set, 22 held, 16 signed. Maybe I want 10 closings this month. Put a 10, and it tells me exactly what I need to do. Okay, so that is the tracker. Again, we provide that for you for free as part of the ISA coaching program. So just go to masteringinsidesales.com, and we give that out on week 2. Week 2. All right, Jenny. Yes, it was recorded. The dog's barking at the Amazon guy. Yes, thank goodness my dog does not bark every time the Amazon guy comes, because she would be barking nonstop. It's a little embarrassing, right? So yeah, it was recorded, and those of you that are here, you'll get a copy of this after the webinar. Michael says, do I have to wait until April? Absolutely not. So you can go ahead and proceed with the hiring process. I don't know if you are Keller Williams or not. And if not, that's fine. If you are, really what we talk about is follow the career visioning process, which is a class that is offered through Keller Williams. So the career visioning class is really the way that you hire an ISA. You could go ahead and hire them, get them into Mastering Inside Sales in January, and then learn how to be a really strong leader for them in April. Jonathan asked, should I learn the discipline of calling before I hire it out? You can, yes. It's not required. So when I became an ISA, I called leads that my Rainmaker was not calling. However, he did have a habit of lead generation. So honestly, Jonathan, somebody on your team does need to be lead generating, only because if you look at the model, we don't hire for this unless we're efficient ourselves. So it's not something we hire for unless we say everyone on the team already is at full cylinder. We simply don't have the capacity because of the amount of leads. So it's kind of a customized question, but the truth is, Jonathan, you don't have to be an expert at everything your ISA will do, but we do recommend that you have some lead generation habits going on. All right, perfect. And Michael, yes, I go over scripts. In fact, we cover an enormous amount of scripts in the program. I give 19 language patterns in the program. And it's really everything from how you start the call so that they'll want to stay on the phone with you, all the way through to they are a closed client. And those of you in the class, if you want to comment in, we're today's session 8, I believe. And you can attest to the fact there's been an enormous amount of scripts covered already. Perfect. Okay, I think we covered everything. Michael, I see you saying you want to see my doggie. I was actually expecting her to barge through that door. I heard her sniffing during this webinar. She's a husky. You watch enough webinars, you will see her at some point. I can pretty much guarantee it. Mike says, yes, definitely a lot of scripts. Perfect. And then last question, and then we'll let you go. Is this for ISA agent only? No, so the class is called Mastering Inside Sales. And we do talk a good bit about if you're passing a lead to your agent, how might you word that? The simple truth is we have a lot of people in that class that are agents themselves. The majority of the class is things like, how do you track? How do you manage your database? How do you talk to leads so that they actually want to work with you and you get a closing out of that contact? So we talk a lot about follow-up systems. And again, we have a lot of people that are not ISAs in that program right now. Just know you will hear things at times pertaining to ISAs. And I just tell people, take notes, because the simple fact is, if you are doing this at a high level yourself, you're probably going to be successful and hire an ISA one day. So save that information for another time. Perfect. Mike says I'm in the class now and it's gold. Perfect. That makes me happy. All right, we're over time and I actually need to go get ready for the actual Mastering Inside Sales class. So those of you that are in that class, I'll see you in about 20 minutes. The rest of you, I hope to see you January 13th for our next lunch. Again, go to masteringinsidesales.com. You can see that going across the bottom of the screen, and I hope to see you in January. All right, everybody, have a great day.